Hey everybody, this is Miss Peachy from WCA Physical Science. Today I'm actually going to be showing you how to do your lab, the rate of reaction lab. So what you see here is I'm actually inside of your lesson viewer, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the portfolio here in your lesson viewer, your rate of reaction portfolio. And there's lots of stuff on here, including a lab report guide and a rubric. And I'm just going to tell you that, at this point, don't worry about those so much, okay? What I want you to do is go to my website instead. And we are going to go to my message boards to get access to the website. But hopefully you guys all have this bookmarked already. We're going to go ahead and click on those links until you get to my website right here. Once you're in the website, you want to click on the Physical Science tab at the top of the screen. So we're going to do that. Let it load. Scroll all the way down to Portfolio Information. Go to, I think it's the third portfolio listed here. And I'm working on the video right now, so we don't have the video tutorial, but we do have the lab sheet. Now, this is different. This is something that I kind of put together from the couple of different things that you guys had inside your lesson. So you're going to click on this, and it's going to open up like this in the viewer. And you can download this to your Word document, or you can open it up with Google Docs. But I would kind of recommend Word if you have it. I know some of you guys don't have that on here. We're going to open it. We're going to download it here to Word. So I'm going to open it with Word. Little stupid toolbar just keeps opening up. And there's a couple of things I want to show you here in Word with this lab sheet. So I'm going to bring it over here in Word for us. So you're going to see how reaction rate of a chemical reaction is impacted by the temperature and by surface area. Those are the two things you're experimenting with. So when you go through this, keep that in mind when you start off. So you're going to answer this first question. Don't forget, by the way, name, title, date. It's just a formality. It's always something you should put on your papers. So the first one is, what is the purpose of the lab, the importance of the topic, and the question you're trying to answer? What is your hypothesis or hypotheses? Since you are looking at surface area and temperature, you should make two different hypotheses. Your first one is going to involve what you think is going to happen, how you think temperature impacts the rate of reaction. And for the second one, you're going to hypothesize how you think surface area impacts the rate of reaction. Remember, what you're doing in this lab is you're taking Alka-Seltzer tablets, and you are dissolving them in water, and you're going to do 3 different temperatures and 3 different surface areas. I don't think I have any Alka-Seltzer tablets handy at the moment because I do part of this later for you. Then you're going to give me like a summary of the methods. I don't want you copying and pasting the procedure here. I just want a summary explaining what you did and or what I did essentially, and the materials that were used and kind of the general idea of the experiment, okay? Then you've got the data section. And for this one, this is where you're going to keep track of the 3 different temperatures and how long it took for those Alka-Seltzer tablets to dissolve. And again, later on in the video, I'm actually going to do this experiment on video. And so you can use the data that I collect, or you can do this part on your own and use the data that you collect. Either one is acceptable, okay? So then you're going to look at what happens when you quarter the Alka-Seltzer tablets and what happens when you crush the Alka-Seltzer tablets. And again, you can use the data that I've collected later, or you can do this part yourself and use the data that you collected. And then finally, you're going to have to come up with averages. So what is the average time for hot water, room temperature, and cold water? What is the average time in tablet form, quartered, and crushed? By the way, for tablet form, data table A gets used twice. You use that as room temperature for water, but you're also going to use it as the data for your tablet form, okay? So you'll use that information twice. All right. So finally, you're going to get to this point where you have to make a graph. And I've kind of helped you out with this a little bit. There's 2 bar graphs. You're going to be graphing table F and you're going to be graphing table G. So table F is temperature versus time. Again, we're just going to look at the temperature of the water and the time in seconds it takes to dissolve. So if you get your information in minutes and seconds, make sure you convert that to just seconds here. Then in Word, how this works is if I click on this, if I double click on it, and I go to Edit Data, let's try that one more time. Get that out of there. Edit Data. Here we go. Gotta click here and say Edit Data. In Excel. There we go. Then my spreadsheet's going to pop up. Then I have it set up for you already. And all you have to do is go to time and put the time for hot, the time for room temperature, and the time for cold. So let's say it was like 10, 20, 30. It's not, but let's say it's 10, 20, 30. Okay. Then to X out of that, what you would see is your graph here, 10, 20, 30. I will say that when you edit data in Excel, do you see that little blue? It's right there. It's like a little blue mark on the bottom corner of the 30. That, when it started off, was here. So you may have to click and drag that up a little bit just to make sure that that's the only information that's selected. If it's not already dragged up, just go ahead and do that, okay? But that gives you your graph that you're going to need. You're going to do the same thing for size versus time. So this is going to be whole, quartered, and crushed, or tablet, quartered, and crushed. So again, select it, go to Edit Data, use the little drop-down box, Edit Data in Excel. That's going to open up, and just put the times here in seconds only for tablet, quartered, and crushed. Then you do the analysis and discussion. What do the key results indicate? So what that means is you're looking at, changes in temperature and how fast it dissolved, and you're going to look at the size of it and how fast it dissolved. And so what you're going to decide is, you look at the results and what do they indicate about how those 2 variables affect the rate of reactions, okay? And then you did graphs, so explain the trend you see in your graphs. Are there any problems with the experiment or methods? Any surprising results? You may want to decide if, there were any kind of weird things that happened in the experiment. Think if you're watching the video part when I do the experiment, do you notice anything that maybe I did that wasn't exactly great, or maybe could have used some improvement? I know I do. I know some things that may have gone a little bit wrong, and I kind of talk about them during the video portion. And then what do your results tell you about your hypothesis? You're going to reflect on your hypothesis. Do they tell you your hypothesis was supported, or did they tell you your hypothesis was wrong? Don't just say that part, but tell us why, okay? So that's for number 8. How did the data support the claim above? If you could repeat the experiment and make it better, what would you do differently and why? Or what should I do differently? Okay. So that is all you need to do. This is your lab report. So I've kind of combined the student guide and the lab report part into one document. Made it a little bit more of a guided document so that you don't have to write a whole report necessarily. You're kind of answering the questions as they come through, including the data. Make sure you save this and then you upload it to the Dropbox when you are done. Again, if you don't have the materials, stick around, because after this portion here, I am going to then include some video where I go through and do the lab for you. And you can record the data that I come up with and put it in your data table and make observations from that data. Okay? I hope that made sense, you guys. Again, following this part is going to be the videos of the lab that I did. But if you're stopping it here to do this on your own, which I would encourage you to do if you have the materials, then good luck and let me know if you have questions. You can always contact me through Connexus through our webmail system. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey everybody, this is Miss Peachy from WCA Physical Science, and what we're doing today is I'm going to, in this segment of the video, I'm going to be actually doing the data collection of the portfolio for you. Okay, so you're going to want to have your data tables. Now, what I have is I printed out the data tables from that sheet on the website. If you don't have them printed out, that's okay. Just have it open on your screen on your computer to take your data measurements. But again, you know, if you don't have your the printout, that's fine too. Because I feel it's just easier to have the printout. Okay. So the first thing we're going to be checking is we're going to be seeing how temperature affects your reaction. So it'll be a chemical reaction, and we have 3 different temperatures. Okay, so the first temperature that we have is room temperature, and that's what this measurement is right here. So if I look at my thermometer here, I'm going to record it in Celsius degrees as 20, I'll try to get that closer to my eyes for a second, but about 21 degrees Celsius. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to view that with the camera. Let me check and take the light off and see if that helps a little bit. Yeah, you can kind of see that there's 21 degrees, I think, right here. There. Okay, so put that in there. So I'm going to write down under my data table for room temperature, right here, 21 degrees, and I'm going to put that all the way down. Okay. And what we have here is a glass. I'm just going to do these little bitty red Solo cups, or like baby ones. All right. And each one of these is, we're going to fill it halfway full. So the number of milliliters here is going to be about 15 milliliters. So we're just going to do that for every single one of these. So we'll just do 15 milliliters here. So make sure we keep the volume the same. Okay? We're going to do that for all 3 trials. So we're going to do 3 separate trials, and we're going to record the elapsed time for all 3 trials. Now, honestly, I'm going to use a stopwatch. So, you know, the start time is going to be 0, and the end time here, whatever the stopwatch is ending at, we're going to end it when the entire tablet is completely dissolved. Okay, that'll vary from trial to trial. Okay, so this is my Alka-Seltzer. I bought this at the store. Each one of these has 2 tablets inside, so we only need 1 tablet for each trial. So be real careful when you open these up. You don't want to break the tablets. The tablets need to be whole. So you may want to cut these open with a scissors rather than trying to tear them open with your hands, because tearing them open with your hands sometimes results in them breaking. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my scissors here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut this package open with my scissors. That way I don't have to worry about the tablet breaking inside, because that's going to change the reaction rate. Okay. So I'm going to get my separate tablets out. And I'll need 3 of them for this portion. Okay. So I have my 3 tablets. Each one of them looks like that. And you can get generic ones of these, that's fine. This is just what they had at the store. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to do all 3 of these at once. I get them all set up here. Okay. And we're going to stop the stopwatch when it is completely dissolved in there. Okay. So we'll pour the water in there. We'll start the stopwatch as soon as I get it poured in all 3 of them, and we'll stop that like as soon as they're completely dissolved. Okay. So I want to be pretty quick here. Got a little more on that one. Okay, so I am timing now. Okay, and you're just going to watch them. It also said to stir them up just to make sure you get them a good mixing. Oopsies. And you might need, like, if one of them might be done sooner than the others, just write that one down sooner. I usually say is when you don't see chunks in it anymore, because it's going to be a little bit bubbly even after. We want to get those chunks out. See, there's chunk floating in that one and everything. This one looks like it's dissolving a little quicker on the end there. So that one here looks like it is just about done. That one was at 1 minute and 3 seconds. The middle one is now done at 1 minute and 11 seconds. And the end one is also done at 1 minute and 13 seconds. All right. So those are complete. Those were our room temperature tablets. Now we have our, I'm going to clear and reset my stopwatch. And now we have our hot water tablets. I'm going to get rid of the room temperature water as well. And we have hot water right here. Put that in a measuring cup. I actually microwaved that in a measuring cup without the thermometer obviously in place because it's metal. Let's see, I don't think you want to microwave a thermometer regardless if it's metal or if it's glass because it doesn't do real well when it's microwaved. I'm going to do this a little different this time because I'm smarter with round 2. I'm going to go ahead and put the water in first and then drop the tablets in. I think that'll be the easiest thing to do. Okay, well, let's first get the temperature of our hot water. Okay, so let's see here. What do we got for hot water? It is at 60, about 62 degrees. Let's see if you guys can see that. See if we can get that showing up. There we go. Kind of see there? That red line goes to. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and fill these up here with the same volume the other guys had. This will be a little bit easier to make it simultaneous too. Let's again line these guys up. And I will get the timer going. Second I get these guys all dropped in. Ooh, much more vigorous reaction. Note those things, by the way, everybody. Note like how vigorous the reaction is, and how intense it is, because those are things you're going to want to note. Ooh, we pretty much have all of them stopped here at 19.65 seconds. It was pretty much the same across the board. But having 3 trials, makes us note that those are, wasn't just a fluke, that it was pretty consistent on all fronts. Okay. Let's get these out of the way. All right, I'm gonna reset my timer again. And now let's look at our third and final temperature. And this is our cold one. So let's get our Alka-Seltzer tablets out of the package again. So we need 3 additional tablets. 1, 2. And here is tablet number 3. And let's see what the temperature is of our ice water, shall we? So our ice water is reading at, hard to see, 7 degrees Celsius. Y'all can see that. I'm going to try to get that to show up there. So you can see it. You can kind of see it right there. It's a little bit more like 5 from that perspective, doesn't it? Okay, I'm gonna record it as 5 degrees Celsius because that's what it looks like from that perspective. So all this is going in table C right now, 5 degrees. And remember, the volume is 15 for all of them. So we're pretty much doing the same volume for all of them. Or at least we're gonna attempt to do the same volume for all of them. All right, so let's take that out of there. Put some water in each one of our containers. No ice cubes, please, just the water. Okay. Got water in all of them. That water looks pretty delicious. My thermometer, I don't know how clean it was, so I guess I won't drink it. It'd be bad. You want to drink your lab supplies. And let's see here. Let's get the timer all ready to go. Because I'm going to drop those tablets in just a second. Oop, I messed. Gosh darn it. That's going to be a little bit off there. A little bit of error. Again, notice, guys, the vigor of the reaction. Those are qualitative observations, right? Like how vigorous the reaction is. You can't really just come up with a way to describe that using numbers, but you can certainly describe that using just kind of descriptor words. So we're still the tablets at the bottom right now. It's definitely a slower reaction, you can tell. The second one was, the hot one was going to almost go over. But still have pretty good size tablets at the bottom. That's kind of what we're trying to make sure is dissolved. They should still float like we saw earlier once the reaction is finished. Put some chunks at the bottom for all of these. Definitely getting towards the end though. There's that one surfaced, right? So now it's starting to float. That's where we start to get it to kind of react a bit more so when it gets to that point of floating. Here we have a floater. On all three fronts. Okay, I feel like you can't see it. There's a chunk still floating in this one. It's just hiding. It's still there though. It's getting there. Still got some chunks in there. Good thing to keep stirring. I don't want to stir too much though, because that's kind of a variable too. Stirring can also speed up reaction rate. So, all right. I think it's safe to say that we are pretty much done here. Both of them. All right. I'm going to stop that at 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Okay. So what I have now for all of them for the room temperature, we ended up with 21 degrees, and it took pretty much, well, there's a little bit of a mix in here. That was the one where I put the water in. After was a little bit different. So, you know, right around have to average those together. Remember, when you do the average, you're going to add them up and divide by 3 here. Okay. So add up a minute and 3 seconds, a minute and 11 seconds, and a minute and 13 seconds. Actually, it's probably better if we convert these just to seconds. So as a minute and 3 seconds is, I'm going to put 63 seconds here. Right? A minute and 11 seconds is 71 seconds. A minute and 13 seconds is 73 seconds. So add those up and divide by 3. Okay, these are in seconds. Let's just round this to the nearest number of seconds. So 20 seconds for each one of these. Average is already, you know, it's pretty easy there. And so 318 here, again, in seconds. 3 minutes is 180, so 198 seconds. Okay, and that's for all 3 of them. Okay, so that is how temperature affects the rate of reaction. So now we're going to be looking at how surface area affects rate of reaction next.
All right, everybody, we're doing the second part here where we're going to check and see how surface area impacts the reaction rate. So we have 3 different situations. We are going to do when the tablet is whole, when the tablet is crushed, and when the tablet is quartered. Okay, so when quartered, when crushed, and when whole. We don't need to do the whole one though. So actually shouldn't have opened those 3, because we can actually use the data from the first table where we did room temperature water as our example of the time it takes when whole. Okay, because we are going to be using the same water for that. We're going to be using the same water that's 21 degrees Celsius for that. Okay, so we are just doing data, the middle 2 data tables, table D and table E. So when quartered and when crushed. So the first one, when quartered, what I've done is I used a knife to just quarter up some of these, and then each cup gets the 4 quarters in it. Okay, That one was pretty simple. Just used a knife to cut those. And then I'm going to pour in that 21 degrees Celsius water. And actually what we're going to do, we're going to learn our lesson here, right? And we're going to put the water in there first. That's what we did the second round. That's what actually worked the best. I'm just going to use the back cup as a way to hold it because there's 4 pieces for each one, and it can be kind of tricky to get that. All right, I get the timer back up here. Okay, so let's get these filled up with water, about 3/4 full. That's what we've been doing. Okay, and then we're just going to quick pour the cups in and start our timer. Okay. I get those all poured in real quick. I know there's a delay here, but again, you're not just noting how much time has passed. I also want you to note like the vigor of the reaction, because that's something that you're going to write down as your qualitative data, like what you notice about this. And again, we can mix it up a little bit with a stir stick. I'm just using the end of a paintbrush, but get that back into focus here. There we go. We'll stop that timer as soon as we see that the chunks that are floating are dissolved. Okay, go pretty much there. Let's stop it here. So like 1 minute and 4 seconds. So just brown that for our table D. 21 degrees Celsius, 15 milliliters down the board. And the elapsed time or end time is 1 minute and 4 seconds. And we'll convert that to 64 seconds for each one, because we want them all in just seconds, not minutes and seconds, right? So that's kind of where our information comes from. Our start time was 0, so I'm not using a clock, I'm using a stopwatch, so it's kind of, that would be more useful if you were using a clock. All right, let's rotate these guys back and get rid of them for now. Put them on the side, because our next one is where we have to crush our tablets. Now, it calls for a mortar and pestle. I'm using a Rarity juice cup and a little bowl. And I'm going to put my tablet in here. And I'm actually just going to use the heel of this cup to smash it up here. Okay, just kind of rock it back and forth so it crushes in there nicely. Actually works pretty well. If you have a little juice glass, just be real careful. Don't put your hand on the top like that, because you could cut yourself. So don't do that, okay? And again, we're going to start off with 3 dry cups. This time it's going to work best for us to put the powder in the cups to start with. That's cup number 1. I got 2 more to go. If you have a mortar and pestle, that's great. I always wanted one for my kitchen, but I don't really need it for anything because I don't grind spices or anything. I just think they're really cool. All right, I'll do another one. You could really use anything. If you had like a little, wooden trivet and stone or something like that, that would also work. This does work. I use it sometimes if I do need to grind something up. All right. So put that aside. So now we're going to take our 3 cups. Again, put the water inside of them. And we'll just toss in the powder. You may also have a curious cat when you're doing your lab, but I would just try to make sure your curious cat, stays away, because that's not safe during the lab to have animals around. All right, let's get these guys situated to go. And we'll dump and get started as soon as we can get the dumping in there. 1, whoa, 2, whoa, 3. Uh-oh, we had a little bit of spillage here. That was a pretty vigorous reaction, wasn't it? Can you imagine doing that with the hot water? This is our room temperature water. Got some crusty bubbles. Definitely done on that one at 26 seconds. At 33 seconds. And at 42 seconds. Okay. So I have 3 different times that I put down here, 26, 33, and 42. That was our crushed tablet. Again, with 15 milliliters each. Okay. So, and I will carry those times over as well. So that is the data that you'll be getting from your crushed tablets. Remember, you're going to compare those to data table A, which is the whole tablets at 21 degrees that we did earlier. Those are those 3 from the surface area. All right, so that's all the data. If you got your data from me, that's all you'll need. And then, like I said, in the earliest part, you're going to use that information then to complete the lab write-up that we went through earlier in the beginning of our video. Guys, have any questions or concerns? You know who to contact. That'd be me. Through our Connexus email, and that's how I would help you out. So good luck, and hopefully it all works out for you.